All right. Well, thank you for taking something that sounded really cool and shitting on it. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
that's kind of what I do, Kirby. I like to be known in most circles as a fun sponge.
That's right. Promo up front, money in the bank, the mullet, a full podcast.
Sweet home Alabama, where
Alabama.
the skies are so blue. And that is exactly how we're going to start episode number 225 of the Promo Upfront podcast. I am one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, let's call him the Emperor of the Election.
Oh,
That's right, the one and
jeez.
only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, welcome home from your big drive.
Yeah,
How the hell are you?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, Jade and I drove her back to Colorado Springs, which is where she has a home. And so we left last Friday and drove over a 3-day period. And then I got the chance to spend a couple days and I just flew back in and got back here late last night. So it was an awesome trip. So, like it
Excellent.
was it was an awesome trip. Everything about it was really, really good. But you know how it is when you're like, oh man, it's so good to be home. And
Yeah.
so things are good with me, buddy. How about you?
Good, kind of. I'm great. Glad you're home. Glad it was safe. I know those type of cross
Yeah.
country, literally
Yeah.
halfway across country road trips can be exhausting, but they're also great memory builders, things like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of memory builders, I'm kind of in the middle of that right now. It's as we're recording this, it's Drew and Mitch's, my sons. It's their 22nd birthday. They're
It's
twins, for
awesome.
those who don't know, which is kind of awesome. They are seniors in college. One is at Mississippi State. One is at Alabama. So we're kind of in that gauntlet of we're visiting them in the fall. Last weekend we were in Starkville to see the mighty Texas A&M Aggies really look shitty as they beat Mississippi State. Um, and we had a great time, came home. And then this weekend, as you might guess by the opening song, we're heading to Alabama to visit my son Mitch, going to the game, see Alabama could quite possibly lose to Mizzou. So
Yeah.
anyway, just kind of in the middle of just every time I turn around, I feel like we're driving somewhere, going somewhere. So I understand exactly how you're feeling. But Kirby, you know, it is October, and that got me to thinking, as
Mhm.
things often do. Let me put on my spectacles so I appear smarter than I am. We're approaching the holidays, which, for the most part, everybody's favorite time of year. And that means right now is the time to work with your clients to get ready for the holiday season with magical point of purchase floor mats from our good pals over at Logo Mats. For 20 years, Logo Mats has been providing promotional branded mats of every size and shape, indoor, outdoor, and those point of purchase mats that are bold, bright, durable, and made right here in the USA. And like I said, as you might expect, and as I just mentioned, Logo Mats has both short and long term point of purchase applications. Let's talk about the Pop Mat. It's number 5188. It's a short term pop point of purchase application. It's a dye sublimated poly knit for the most complex artwork, even
Mhm.
gradients. Full edge to edge printing and features over 150 standard colors. And then you have your long term point of purchase application in the Floor Impressions mat. That's number 3425. Photographic quality images and logos. It features a diamond surface pattern for superior traction. And it's so easy to clean, you can either vacuum or hose it off. Now, Kirby, I know you've really come to embrace the truly amazing branding opportunities afforded to your clients by vibrant point of purchase mats from Logo Mats.
Yeah, I think, and with you mentioned their printing techniques, and I think when you take a look at as you said, vibrant ways that you can decorate, it really does open up so many opportunities to tell a different kind of story than we're used to doing in those places. And so, Logomats does a great job with that.
Kirby, brief, succinct, crisp as usual. I couldn't have said it better myself. As a reminder, when you work with Logo Mats, not only is everything made right here in the USA, but there's never a setup fee, never an art fee, minimum order quantity of one, and they are only happy when your client is happy. Heck, even more, they stand behind every product and promise an unconditional 100% customer satisfaction guarantee for the life of each product. What more could you ask for? Head over to logomatsllc.com to see how you can help your clients stand out or others are just content to fit in. All right, Kirby, I want to thank you for having the courage to be the emperor of the election and having that courage also to podcast with me today. I did want to touch on election merchandise.
Okay.
So bringing it back to promo.
Okay.
We bring it back to promo. ASI ran a pretty interesting article. I think it was ASI, that Kamala Harris is dramatically, and I'll get to the numbers here, dramatically outspending her opponent Donald Trump on print and promo merchandise. Now, between July 21st and September 30th, so July 21st is when she officially became the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, taking over for Joe Biden, who stepped aside. So from July 21st to September 30th, Donald Trump spent approximately $82,000 on print and
Mm.
promotional merchandise. Okay.
Hmm. But
Harris,
she,
by comparison, spent 3.4 million
wow.
on print and promo merchandise. Now, their overall spending, if you combine Biden and Harris as kind of a one candidate here, and Trump, it dwarfs Trump 5-1.
Mm.
So I wanted to ask get your opinion. Again, this is not a political discussion in terms of who we're voting for and enough of that. We don't do that here on the Promo Upfront podcast. You can tune into other podcasts for people to opine on that. What we're going to opine on is the value of promotional merchandise when it comes to a political
Sure.
campaign, and the fact that Harris is outspending Trump 5-1 in print and promo merchandise. I wanted to ask, why do you think that is? I've got some
Mm.
thoughts if you'd like me to share, but if you want to go ahead and go, fire away.
Yeah, I think what we know is that there was a huge amount of fundraising done at the beginning of that campaign. As a side note, we now know that a presidential campaign can be run from the middle of July to November, which I believe is how it should be done from now on. We do not need 4-year campaigns. And if we want to legislate something, legislate that. Anyway,
And just as a reminder, we're not doing any political opinions about the process or anything like that during this podcast. Please, Kirby, continue.
I'm just saying we don't need 4 years to get to know somebody. Anyway, so I think because there was such a massive uptick in fundraising, it makes sense. And because she had to do it in that window of time to get the word out about her, that makes some sense. The other thing that pops into my head is that because Trump has been running for so long and there is such a loyal following behind him, they're doing it for him. Like the Trump base is, whether it's licensed or not, you're still seeing more Trump flags, at least in my region of the country. Like, so in other words, while the Trump campaign has only spent 82,000, I would be super interested to see how much, Make America Great Again, Trump 2024 merch is actually out there. And my guess is those numbers are a little closer then. That would be my take.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. One, a couple things, and I'm going to add to what you said. The fact that Biden dropped out of the race, Kamala Harris absolutely needed to get her name out there.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what the percentage of people who know who the sitting vice president is, but generally speaking, not a large amount,
Right.
sadly.
Yeah.
And so she had to find vehicles to really get her name out there. And I think promotional merchandise, print merchandise, obviously one of the most effective ways to do that. You have that truncated election time for Harris
Mm.
too, right?
Yep.
July 21st through now. And
Yep.
then one of the things you touched on, I'm going to touch on a little bit more. Trump has a very entrenched base.
Yep.
People who, and he's been campaigning for not for 4 years, not for 8 years, but almost 10 years now, if you
Yeah.
consider the 2 years leading up to 2016. So he's been campaigning full time. And like you said, you made a great point. We're talking about campaign merchandise that's handed out, not merchandise with a candidate's name, likeness, or whatever that's sold for profit,
Yeah.
which there tends to be quite a bit of that type of the MAGA hats, Trump
Mhm.
flag, the shirts with his mugshot, things like that on them. Harris has to appeal to people who are moderates and undecided, and that's where I think the promotional spend really is targeted.
Mhm.
Whereas I think Trump, all of what Trump needs to do is galvanize his base or just keep his base doing what they always do.
Right.
Again, not a political statement. It's just that those are the facts. So
It's the
people want to win a
marketing.
race.
It's the
It's
marketing
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So I thought it was just real interesting though. Still, if you look at it from a pure the way election spending is reported from that perspective 5-1, that's dramatic. I always
Yeah.
expect there to be somewhat of an imbalance. I think Trump's probably the favorite to win at this point. And I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. So it would make sense that the underdog is
Yeah.
outspending. That was my point with that. So,
Mhm.
the interesting thought. Anything else before we move on, Kirby?
No, I like it. That was good. That's a good.
All right,
Again, I
Kirby.
love what ASI does with their reporting. They do a
Yeah.
great job.
Absolutely. We talk about it all the time, but we love when the good strongs over at Hirsch introduce new and
Mm.
exciting retail brands. We teased this a couple weeks ago, but two different SodaStream products are now available. The Art Sparkling Water Maker and the Terra Sparkling Water Maker. Heck, they even have drink mixes available too.
Mm.
So both include a CO2 cylinder so your clients can get their awesome brand on SodaStream and use it right out of the box. Now check it out. Check it out and all their other fantastic retail brands at hirschpromo.com. In fact, do yourself a favor, bookmark the site, check back frequently, and to keep you up to date on all the retail brands they have, because I that is not Kirby and I's job to keep you informed of all that. We do the best we can, but frankly, they're adding products so often it would take an army of 75 people. I guess that's a division of 75 people. It's totally dedicated on updating us on Hirsch product. All right. Hirschpromo.com. All right, Kirby, do you have a topic for us that we can talk about, please?
Yeah. So, and we'll keep it somewhat promo related. This was the last second topic that Dustin actually, we were talking about it right before I hopped on here, and he's like, "Oh, that might be a
Yeah.
topic for you guys." So I did obviously when I was out in Colorado
Mhm.
with Jade, I wanted to take in the sights. I wanted to do trails, and the weather was
Yeah.
spectacular out there. And one of the things that she had told me about several times, she had actually done this with her husband John and some friends, the Manitou Incline.
Yep.
And it is 27,608, excuse me, 22,768 steps. I apologize. But up a mountain and you get to the top, it's beautiful. Then you do a trail back down. You can come back down the steps, but I did the trail. And I was fascinated by the fact that I got down to the base and it was just like, there was no pomp and circumstance. There was like a gift shop, but the gift shop was for the Pikes Peak train that they do, and it was closed. And I was like, there's a parking guy taking money for parking, and I was like, is there a place to get a T-shirt that like just said, "Hey, I did the incline"? And he's like,
Mhm.
not here. He's like, if you go down into town, I'm sure all the gift shops will have it. I was like,
Right.
oh, okay. I didn't really want to drive into town, but I kind of want to say that I did this.
Right.
So I go down and I went to gift shop after gift shop after gift shop, and there really wasn't very many options for shirts. And I probably my sixth store I went into, I got it. I was like, I found it, I got it. And I was like, but then I was on a mission, right? I really wanted.
Right.
I was like, for
Right.
for an experiential thing like that, like at the bottom, what a missed opportunity that there's not, whether it's a t-shirt or a medal or a something that you say that I did this. And so those are things that when there's tourist things involved, I'm always blown away by when folks don't have that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like it's a concert t-shirt, right? And
Right.
so I left
No.
there going, man, what an opportunity for some of my friends in Colorado to chase that down.
So maybe it is, maybe it's not. So I'll take the contrarian view here.
Sure.
Maybe there's not a shirt available right there, when you got down. And by the way, if you haven't watched Kirby's video of him hiking up the steps and then running back down the trail, it's pretty interesting. It's a lot of fun and did a
Thanks,
great
man.
job with that. And congratulations. Looks like it was you think, oh, I can do 2,500 steps. Yeah, I'd say the incline would probably kick most people's ass left and right and up and down. But you did it. So you got down at the base and you thought, okay, now I want to buy something to commemorate this. And I'm sure you're not the only one who thought that. But my guess is there was a time when there were shirts available there, and perhaps the demand
Right.
wasn't there. I don't know that for a fact. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah,
But
that would be
sometimes
Yeah, that's a great point because that was my thought too. But I will say that the challenge is the gift shop at the base is not for that. The gift shop at the base is for the Pikes Peak thing. And I'm
Okay,
like, that would have been the best. Like that's when I wanted to buy it. And so down at the
I
base of
get
the
that.
in town, I actually think you're right about the demand because then you're just like, well, screw it, I'm leaving.
Well, I get heat of the moment. That's when your dollars are looser than ever.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
happy to
right.
spend them. But, you know, before before Jade lived out there, had you ever heard of the Manitou Incline?
Absolutely not.
Neither have I.
Yeah,
So while I have a feeling it's one of those things you kind of stumble upon, it's
that's
not
distinctly
what
possible.
I would call a destination. Not that it's not cool, not that it's not, in
Yeah,
fact, incredible what you did. When I think of that a part of Colorado, I do think of Pikes Peak. And if
for
I'm getting
days.
a shirt, I'm going to get something that represents that. However, I do think there is a slight missed opportunity. Actually, it is a big missed opportunity if
Yeah,
there is demand for it. I'm a big believer. If one person is asking for it, 10 other people are thinking about it.
yeah.
It's same thing if you get criticized. If you get criticized, if someone is bold enough to criticize you for something, there's 10 or 15 other people that don't want to ruffle any feathers, but they're thinking the same thing. So
Mm,
I still fall on the
good point.
side of I bet the demand just isn't there for
Mhm.
somebody to invest the money to stock apparel.
Yeah,
However, I do see your perspective on it. And again, heat of the moment, I would have wanted a shirt too that I
yeah,
survived this incline.
yeah. Well, and I think it's experiential. I think for me, and again, we're jaded in the sense that we've got all the t-shirts we could ever possibly want or need.
Of course.
But it's funny that I came down looking for it, right? Like because
Yeah,
this was something I did rather than something I saw, it was even more important to me. So I just thought it was a
sure.
missed opportunity. So there you go.
No, and I think it might be a missed
Yeah.
opportunity. Maybe no one's ever done it. Who knows? So
Yeah.
give it a shot, somebody. Okay, Kirby. One of the things I think you would identify me as being known for, maybe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here. You can tell me if I'm right. Is that I have preached for years about the importance of removing friction from
Yes,
any sort of
I
sales
would agree.
process.
Yes.
I think you would associate that term with me on some level.
Yes.
Um, and I think, as we continue, we're almost at 2025. We're always looking for ways to remove friction. Now, looking to remove friction to make it easier for our clients to give us money. That's
Mhm.
always good.
Yeah.
We're also looking for ways to reduce internal friction for our teams. Now, that can be processes and procedures, it can be technology, it can be services. All of them play a huge role into making things easier, removing that friction. And especially, I think, for mid-sized companies,
Mm.
mid-sized companies that are really seeking to grow. So I was going to ask you, so you're a mid-sized company, small business, but a mid-sized company in our industry seeking to grow. What sources do you lean on to help you remove friction? Of course, I'm throwing this at you last
Mhm.
minute. I've got some things if you'd like me to go first, but I would love to hear your thoughts. So you let me know if I'm going first or you are.
Yeah, I'll give you the two that pop in my head right away. So, and it really has to do with partnerships. So the places where I think remove friction. So
Yeah.
this is not an ad, it's not an endorsement necessarily, but we use Common as an order management platform. I feel like they are
Yeah.
constantly evolving and evaluating shops and doing things like that. Those things make it easier for me
Hmm.
to create presentations so that we can take money, right? Like so that we can and hey, we're now doing ACH and we're now doing credit card. We're
Right.
now like and so that would be the other thing, the first thing that popped into my head. And then the secondary thing or the second thing that popped in my head was just the partnerships with certain
Hmm.
suppliers who go out of their way to do spec samples. They go like, and again, I could name some suppliers that do a great job with that and doing real creative, not just slapping a logo on an image of their
Right.
product, but doing real creative. Those are things that I think make it really easy to do our job. And so those are the two things that popped into my head.
And I'll touch on both of those. So let's touch with one you mentioned. One is the order management piece. I thought that too. One of the
Mm,
first things I thought of for a distributor or even a supplier is just handling that order management. You've got
mm,
commonsku, certainly. You've got AWS Artwork Services. You've got several of them that do
yeah,
a really good job and have a track record of
right.
high level of service and so on and so forth. Thought about virtual assistants too. We've
It's a good one.
seen a real influx of virtual assistants. Of course, you have Delegate CX, Artwork Services again. Again, this isn't a commercial for anybody. It's just a conversation we're having. But you have those opportunities to outsource, save yourself time and money with virtual assistants that help. Ideally, if you get the right virtual assistant
Yeah.
and all those things, and ones that are going to be guaranteed and do a great job, it's going to remove a lot of the internal friction you have and free up time.
Yeah.
I also thought about the creative process, at least for me,
Mm.
leveraging in learning how to really use something like tools like Chat GPT. We've
Yeah.
talked about that before, things like Midjourney. It doesn't do my work for me, but
Right.
my goodness, does it make me so much more efficient, which increasing efficiency is the removal of friction
Right.
because it allows me to get things done faster. It helps me learn at a much more exponential rate. It really does.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is though, when you're looking to remove friction, you're looking at services and technology and services, is marrying the technology sometimes with the service aspect of it.
Mm.
I look at my own bills. I'm sure you do this for your own family, and I got Netflix, I got YouTube TV, I've got all these subscription services, and sometimes I miss the old days when I could just one bill. I just want one bill
Yeah.
because we just did an audit and I didn't realize we've been paying for two Netflix
Oh,
accounts for
jeez.
apparently a couple of years. But I don't think that is a tale that's rare.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
actually
think
just
it's
saw a commercial that somebody was saying that literally this morning. So yeah, I think that's
yeah.
more common than we
So
think.
I think people who can figure out that single source solution that marries all that's a really great thing. And I'm sure there's companies out there that really do a great job at that. Accountability. You want to make sure that whoever you're partnering with has accountability. They're improving things. They commit to service level agreements that
Hmm.
are guaranteed and all that. So I think it's a very interesting. We live in a very interesting time where there's so many great industry service providers and out of industry services that really can help remove friction. Thought it was an interesting conversation,
Yeah,
Cody.
absolutely. I love it. I love it.
Yep. Got one more?
Yes, we'll make this probably a quick one. So I don't know if you saw this, but there was like a regulation passed yesterday. Um, Air taxis, eVols, advanced air mobile aircraft, and flying cars. They're essentially names to represent a new type of vehicle.
Mhm.
And these electric aircraft take off and land vertically like helicopters, but transition to fly on fixed wings like airplanes. So they don't
So
fit
like the
into a
Harrier, like the Harrier jump jet.
yeah, but it's like the next transition to
Yeah.
flying cars. And
Right.
apparently they just the FAA is the first time the FAA has approved a new type of aircraft since 1940 when it welcomed
Okay.
the helicopter to the skies. So as
Mhm.
I think it was like a 940 page document to allow
Shocking.
for this to happen. Um, and I've seen some videos around this where people were testing it or whatever.
Mhm.
What do you think about this? Is this something that you would want to try out? Is this something that you're like, okay, I can't wait for this to happen? When you hear about flying cars, what's your first kind of take?
Um, I think it's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
heck, anybody who grew up when you and I did, you're 5 years, 4 years, 5 years younger than me. Remember the Jetsons seemed
Yeah.
pretty cool. They get in those little cars and go. Now, then the practical part of me always thinks, okay, it can't just be a free for all in the sky because you're going to have so many problems. So I don't know how you create highways in the sky, for lack of a
Yeah.
better term.
Yeah.
How do you put the guardrails that are necessary in to make that truly safe? I'm not necessarily worried about the technology being safe.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a failure rate for any sort of mechanical piece of
Yeah.
machinery, whether it's an aircraft, a car, a computer. There's always a failure rate, and I think that's going to be part of the risk associated with it. And I'm sure they're going to put safety measures in that if all of a sudden your air car stops working and there's a little parachute that pops, I don't know, figure it
Yeah.
out. I think the biggest concern for me is just free for all in the sky. Um, so I'd like to know how they're going to figure that part out. Like, where
Yeah.
can you enter the sky? Where can you exit the sky? How does this all work? I think we're a long time away from that. I mean, I think we thought 10 years ago, man, by 2025, we're all going to be in automated cars and we can just sit
Mm.
there and read the newspaper, or back then we can play Angry Birds. They might play Angry Birds anymore. Whatever we want to do in the car while it drives us. And yeah, there's some self-driving cars, but I don't think anybody feels great about
Yeah, where
the
that's at.
efficacy of that.
Yeah, I think that's so this is the kind of thing that I love, that your brain goes to the logistics and stuff, because my brain goes, I want to try it. Like that's it.
Yeah.
The end.
Oh,
Like I haven't thought any further than any of that. I'm just like, okay, when do I get to drive?
so I absolutely would love to try it, but then here's the thing. As I've gotten older, and I used to travel a ton. I mean, a ridiculous amount of travel.
Yeah.
I have gotten to the point where I'm a nervous Nelly when I fly now. Okay.
Yeah.
We hit turbulence. I'm the first white knuckle grabber of the seat armrest. I
Yeah.
don't like it. It makes me very nervous. That being said, it doesn't stop me from flying. It's not paralyzing.
Right.
I will, however, never, ever, 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 ever set foot in a helicopter. That shit scares the hell out of me. I don't understand the two. What if the top little whirly bird is going, what and the back one breaks? I don't understand why the thing spins the whole time. I don't get all that. It's queer. It's airplane voodoo. But I would do the air car. But I
Yeah.
do think about the logistics, because I know most people are like, oh man, just get up and go. It'd be awesome. I don't want to look up in the sky and see just things moving back and forth all the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for taking something that sounded really cool and shitting on it. I think that I can't
Yeah,
wait.
that's kind of what I do, Kirby. I like to be known in most circles as a fun sponge.
Well, good job. Good job.
I'll tell you, who's not a fun sponge, though. That's our good friends over at Logo Mats. That's right. For over 20 years, they've been providing promotional branded mats of every size and shape, indoor, outdoor, and what we talked about today, those glorious and gorgeous point of purchase mats made right here in the USA. We talked about the short term application for the pop mat, number 5188, the long term application with the floor impressions. Both are great. Beautiful, beautiful, vibrant colors that'll just knock your clients' socks off. And I got to tell you what, there's never a setup fee. There's never an art fee, minimum order quantity of one. And they're only happy at Logo Mats when you and your client are happy. In fact, they're going to back that up with 100% unconditional customer satisfaction guaranteed for the life of every product. What more could you ask for? The
Nothing.
answer is none.
Yeah.
So why don't you head over to logomatsllc.com right now, and Miles Wadsworth, the good people over there, are going to help you out. And why don't you help your clients stand out where others are content to fit in? Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go fuel up my air car with my air gas.